Hello there, I am here to talk to you today about phrasal verbs. This is typically a pretty difficult topic, and I can honestly understand why. They are pretty confusing. But let's talk about how to make them less confusing so that you can learn them and use them in your everyday English. First, I want to talk about methodology. How should you study phrasal verbs? And maybe more importantly, how should you not study phrasal verbs? I think a mistake that many English learners and English teachers make when it comes to phrasal verbs is grouping them together. I really think that we shouldn't do this. We can group them by the first word, like for example, get up, get out, get away, get back. Or we can group them by the preposition, so throw up, come up, stand up, sit up. If you ask me, we shouldn't be doing either of these. We shouldn't group phrasal verbs together when we study them. And the reason why can be explained by the phrase, neurons that fire together, wire together. If we study two things, and every time we study them, we always study them together, that means that every time we try to remember just one of them, the one that we need in that moment, because we study them together, we will accidentally, without wanting to, remember both of them, which can cause even more confusion. And phrasal verbs are already confusing enough. We really shouldn't try to make it harder on ourselves. That's why I recommend that you study every single phrasal verb separately. Do not try to connect them. If you study them in groups or chunks, they should be totally not related with different starting words and different prepositions. So that way, every time you try to think of get up, you don't also accidentally think of sit up. Furthermore, the best way to study phrasal verbs will always 100% be to study them in context. How do you study in context, you might ask? Well, you are in the right place for that. I recommend studying in context by watching TV, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, or reading books. So let's start with YouTube videos. I am going to take the rest of this video as an opportunity to introduce a couple of phrasal verbs to you guys by acting them out on camera. So I'm going to act out these phrasal verbs for you guys, which will give you a way to connect what you learn with a context and a memory that you have of how you learned it. So let's get started. That's our first phrasal verb. Get started. To get started is basically a synonym of to begin something. So let's look at a couple more examples of get started. Here's one example. My kitchen is a little bit messy right now. I really need to clean it, but I'm having a hard time finding the motivation to get started. So I don't know when I'll do it. What I do know is this. If I'm going to get started cleaning my kitchen, the first thing I need to do is turn on the light. In my kitchen, it's hard to see the light switch because it's behind the fridge, which is a little bit weird, so we're gonna do turn on one more time. In this room, I'm going to turn on the light. You know, I'm really starting to think that I don't want to clean my kitchen, so I'd rather distract myself with something else. So I think I'm gonna turn on my iPad. You know what? I was wrong. I don't think I should play on my iPad right now, so instead, I'm going to turn it off. And now, since all the lights in my house are turned on, let's go and turn them off. Turn that light off, turn that light off, and turn that light off. I just realized I forgot that I'm planning to go to the doctor, and the doctor sent me a form, and they told me that I need to fill out this form before I go to my appointment. All right, so before I can go to this doctor's appointment, I need to fill out the form. I'm gonna fill it out by writing my name, address. So once I have filled every one of these boxes or spaces, that means that I have completely filled out the form. Some other things that we can fill out are surveys and forms, basically. So anytime you're filling out a form or filling out a survey, you'll remember this phrasal verb. As I said, I'm going to the doctor, but it's a little cold outside, so I think I need to put on something warmer. So I will take this and put it on. What are other things that we can put on? Anything that could be considered clothes. So we put on hats, we put on scarves, we put on glasses, we put on jackets, we put on sweaters, we put on shoes. And besides all that, we also put on makeup. I just put on some lipstick before I leave for the doctor's. I also decided that I needed to eat a snack before I left for the doctor, but these crackers I was going to eat, they're just falling apart. As soon as I picked it up to take a bite, the cracker fell apart. And you know, now that I think about it, this shirt is also kind of falling apart. It has holes in it. It's pretty old now. It's got some stains. It's kind of falling apart. What else can fall apart? Maybe if you have a piece of paper in your pocket and you get it wet and then you try to open up the piece of paper falls apart. We can also use fall apart for situations, like Oh my gosh, my project at work, everything is crazy, nothing is happening like it should, the project is falling apart. All right, let's go ahead and leave the house for my doctor's appointment. Okay, it's not cold at all outside. It's really not cold, it's actually pretty warm. You know what, I think I need to take this off. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this off because it's too hot for that, so I need to take it off. Before I leave, I wanna have a sip of water. Silly me, I forgot to take off the lid. We can take off clothes, take off glasses, take off earrings, take off shoes, take off lids. Anytime you are removing, you can say you are taking it off. Okay, just a few more things before I can finally leave. Before I leave, I need to look over this document and make sure it's correct. Okay, I finished looking it over. I finished reviewing it and making sure everything was correct, so I finished looking it over. What else can we look over? We can look over any kind of notes or documents. Anytime you might use the word review, we could also say look over, to look it over, to look the thing over. Okay, I have really got to get out the door. I keep finding all of these things that I need to do in my house, and I'm going to end up being late. Okay, let's grab my stuff and go, because I don't want to end up missing my doctor's appointment. That would be a really bad outcome. Okay. I finally have my phone and I'm ready to leave. It ended up getting really late, and I don't think I'm gonna make it on time. Why does this always end up happening to me? When things end up, we're talking about a resolution or outcome, whether that's good or bad. So maybe someone could end up winning the lottery. Or in my case, I end up missing my doctor's appointment. You know what? Everything just seems to be going wrong today. I am just ready to give up. To give up is when you say, you know what, I tried and I don't want to try anymore. I am stopping my efforts, I am giving up. Maybe someone picks up a new hobby and they are learning to play guitar, and then they find out that playing guitar is really hard, so they decide to give up. But you know what's never gonna end up happening? You watching this video right now are never gonna give up on your English learning journey. Wait, don't go, we're not finished. You have homework. Your homework is to write a message in the comments below making some example sentences using at least 3 of the phrasal verbs that you learned in this video. Everyone who does the homework by commenting below, I will comment and reply and give you feedback on how you did. Don't forget to check out my other videos for learning English in context in a fun and natural way. My website has games and activities for you to practice your English, and I also offer group English classes every Thursday and Friday if you're interested. Check out the links in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.